Canada is a very large country that stretches from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean and reaches the Arctic Ocean. It is one of the countries with the most magnificent and diverse nature in the world. This land is like a small world of natural wonders. There are the snowy mountains of the Rocky Mountains, clear turquoise glacial lakes, endless ancient forests, and northern lands where the night sky shines with the northern lights. Besides its amazing nature, Canada is also the home of modern and very livable cities such as Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. In these cities, multicultural culture, European architecture, and the North American lifestyle come together in a unique way. From huge waterfalls and large national parks to peaceful coastal towns, every region of Canada has its own beauty. These places make visitors clearly feel the vast and majestic power of nature. Canada is not only a travel destination, but also a journey to explore one of the most spectacular lands in the world. Niagara Falls is located on the border between Canada and the United States, and it is one of the most famous and magnificent waterfalls in the world. It is actually a system of 3 large waterfalls: Horseshoe Falls, American Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls. Horseshoe Falls is mostly on the Canadian side, and it is considered the most spectacular part. Every second, millions of liters of water from Lake Erie fall into the Niagara River. This creates huge clouds of mist rising into the air and a loud sound like thunder. Visitors can experience the waterfalls from many different views. They can walk along the paths near the river, watch from high observation decks, or take the famous boat called Hornblower Niagara Cruises that brings visitors close to the bottom of the falls. When night comes, Niagara Falls is illuminated with colorful lights that make the scene look magical, like a fairy tale. Niagara is not only a natural wonder, but also a famous tourism symbol of Canada that attracts tens of millions of visitors every year. Hidden in the Rocky Mountains, Banff National Park is the oldest national park in Canada, and also one of the most spectacular natural places in North America. With an area of more than 6,600 square kilometers, the park is a world of snowy mountain peaks, large pine forests, ancient glaciers, and beautiful turquoise lakes. One of the most famous highlights of Banff is its glacial lakes, such as Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. The water has a strange blue color because fine rock powder from glaciers reflects the sunlight. In summer, visitors come here to go hiking, kayak on the lakes, and enjoy the magnificent mountain scenery. In winter, Banff becomes a paradise for skiing with many famous ski resorts. Besides natural landscapes, Banff is also home to many wild animals such as moose, grizzly bears, wolves, and mountain sheep. With its beauty that is both majestic and peaceful, Banff is not only a famous tourist destination but also recognized by UNESCO as part of the Canadian Rocky Mountain Parks. Lake Louise is considered one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, and it is a symbol of tourism in Canada. The lake is located in Banff National Park, and it is surrounded by snowy mountains and ancient glaciers. The special turquoise color of the lake is created by fine rock powder from melting glaciers that reflects sunlight and creates an almost unreal beauty. Right next to the lake stands the famous hotel Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise, a luxurious castle that looks over the water and the distant mountains. From here, visitors can rent a kayak to paddle on the calm lake or start hiking trails that lead to beautiful viewpoints. In winter, Lake Louise freezes and becomes a huge natural ice skating rink. Snow-covered mountains, white pine forests, and the frozen lake create a scene like a perfect winter painting. If Lake Louise is already beautiful, Moraine Lake is even more spectacular. The lake is located in the Valley of the Ten Peaks, and it is famous for its incredibly bright blue color. In summer, when ice from the mountain glaciers melts and flows into the lake, Moraine Lake reaches its most beautiful color. The water becomes a bright blue color that almost looks glowing under the sunlight. Around the lake are sharp rocky mountain peaks that rise more than 3,000 meters and reflect on the calm water. One of the most famous viewpoints is Hopewell Trail. Visitors only need to walk and climb for a few minutes to see the whole view of Moraine Lake and the valley behind it. This viewpoint once appeared on the old Canadian $20 bill, making Moraine Lake one of the most symbolic images of the country. Vancouver is one of the most livable cities in the world, and it is also a place where nature and urban life come together perfectly. The city is located between the Pacific Ocean and the Coast Mountains, creating a landscape that few places in the world have. One of the most famous places is Stanley Park, a huge urban park located next to the city center. The seaside walking path here is almost 10 kilometers long and offers beautiful views of the ocean, mountains, and the skyline of Vancouver. Besides nature, Vancouver is also famous for its diverse culture, rich food, and lively areas such as Gastown and Granville Island. In winter, visitors can drive less than 2 hours from the city center to reach the famous ski resort Whistler. The combination of nature, culture, and high quality of life makes Vancouver one of the most attractive cities in North America. Toronto is the largest city in Canada, and it is the economic, financial, and cultural center of the country. The city is located on the shore of Lake Ontario, and it is one of the most multicultural cities in the world, where more than 200 ethnic communities live together. The most famous symbol of the city is the CN Tower, a tower that is more than 550 meters tall and once held the title of the tallest structure in the world for many years. From the observation deck at the top of the tower, visitors can see the whole city of Toronto and Lake Ontario stretching to the horizon. Toronto is also a center for art and entertainment, with many museums, theaters, and international festivals. Areas such as Kensington Market, Distillery District, and Chinatown offer unique cultural experiences. Even though it is a busy city, Toronto still has many green spaces and small islands offshore, such as the Toronto Islands. People often come there to relax and enjoy the beautiful skyline of the city. Montreal is the largest city in the province of Quebec, and it is the largest French cultural center outside France. Unlike many other cities in North America, Montreal has a unique mix of old European architecture and modern life. The old district called Old Montreal has stone streets and buildings from the 17th century that make visitors feel like they are in a European city. One of the most famous landmarks is the Notre Dame Basilica of Montreal, a church known for its beautiful blue and golden interior. Montreal is also famous for large festivals such as the Montreal International Jazz Festival, the biggest jazz festival in the world. In addition, Montreal food is also an important part of the visitor experience, from smoked meat sandwiches to bagel bread. Quebec City is one of the most beautiful old cities in North America, and it is the only city on the continent that still has a complete city wall system. The city is located on the bank of the St. Lawrence River, and it shows the strong history of the French colonial period. The heart of Quebec City is the old district called Old Quebec, which is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The stone streets, small cafes, and historic buildings create a romantic atmosphere like in a European movie. The most famous symbol of the city is the castle-like hotel Chateau Frontenac, one of the most photographed hotels in the world. From the square in front of the hotel, visitors can see a beautiful view of the St. Lawrence River and the old town below. Whistler is one of the most famous ski resorts in the world, and it is located about 2 hours by car from Vancouver. This place hosted many events of the 2010 Winter Olympics, and since then, it has become a top destination for people who love winter sports. The resort is famous for two large mountains, Whistler Mountain and Blackcomb Mountain. They are connected by the Peak to Peak gondola, one of the longest and highest cable car lines in the world. Besides skiing, visitors can also enjoy many activities such as mountain climbing, mountain biking, kayaking, and sightseeing in the summer. Whistler Village at the base of the mountains is also a lively resort area with restaurants, bars, and specialty shops. The Bay of Fundy is located between the provinces of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and it is famous for having the highest tides in the world. The water level here can change by more than 16 meters between low tide and high tide. The strong changes of the tides have created unique geological landscapes, such as the Hopewell Rocks. But a few hours later, the seawater rises and turns the area into a deep bay for kayaking. Besides the spectacular scenery, the Bay of Fundy is also one of the best places in the world to watch whales, especially humpback whales and right whales. Located in the northern part of Banff National Park in the Rocky Mountains, Jasper National Park is the largest national park in the Canadian Rocky Mountains system. With an area of more than 11,000 square kilometers, it is a land of glaciers, waterfalls, glacial lakes, and wide valleys that still keep a very wild and natural beauty. One special thing about Jasper is its extremely clear night sky with very little light pollution. The park is recognized as a dark sky preserve, which makes it a paradise for people who love astronomy and sky photography. In autumn, the Jasper Dark Sky Festival attracts thousands of visitors who come to see the Milky Way and many planets. Jasper is also famous for beautiful places such as Moraine Lake and Spirit Island, one of the most symbolic images of tourism in Canada. Icefields Parkway is considered by many people to be one of the most beautiful driving roads in the world. The road is about 230 kilometers long, and it connects Banff National Park with Jasper National Park. It passes through some of the most spectacular landscapes of the Rocky Mountains. Along this road, visitors can see mountain peaks higher than 3,000 meters, turquoise glacial lakes, waterfalls falling from cliffs, and large ice fields. One of the most famous stops is the Columbia Icefield. Here visitors can walk on the Athabasca Glacier, one of the most accessible glaciers in North America. Icefields Parkway is not only a road, but also a journey to explore wild nature. During the trip, you may see black bears, moose, mountain sheep, and eagles flying in the sky. Athabasca Glacier is one of the most famous glaciers in Canada, and it is part of the Columbia Icefield, the largest icefield in the Rocky Mountains. This glacier is thousands of years old, and in the past, it stretched for many tens of kilometers. Today, visitors can ride special giant vehicles that take them onto the surface of the ice. There, they can walk directly on the ice that is hundreds of meters thick. It is a rare experience that allows people to get close to the ancient world of ice. However, Athabasca Glacier is also a clear reminder of climate change. During more than a century, the glacier has retreated greatly. Signs along the road show where the ice was in past years and help visitors understand how fast nature is changing. The small town of Churchill, in the province of Manitoba, is called the polar bear capital of the world. Every year in autumn, hundreds of polar bears gather near the coast of Hudson Bay to wait for the sea to freeze before they go out to hunt seals. Visitors who come to Churchill can join special tundra vehicles to watch polar bears in their natural environment. It is one of the few places in the world where people can see this symbolic Arctic animal from a close distance. Besides polar bears, Churchill is also a wonderful place to see the northern lights in winter. The night sky here often explodes with waves of green, purple, and red lights moving across the dark sky. Prince Edward Island is the smallest province in Canada, but it has the peaceful beauty of a coastal region. The island is famous for its red sand beaches, green fields, and historic lighthouses. One special feature of the island is its red soil, which is caused by a high amount of iron in the ground. When it contrasts with the blue sea and the clear sky, the landscape here becomes very impressive. Prince Edward Island is also famous because of the novel Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This has made the island a favorite destination for people who love literature. Located on Vancouver Island, Tofino is a paradise for people who love the sea and surfing. Unlike crowded cities, Tofino has the wild beauty of the Pacific coast, with temperate rainforests, long sandy beaches, and strong ocean waves. Long Beach is the most famous place for surfing and walking along the shore. In winter, many visitors come here to experience storm watching, when they watch powerful ocean storms crashing against the rocky coast. Located in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, Gros Morne National Park is one of the most unique geological parks in the world. This place allows scientists to directly observe rocks from the Earth's mantle, something that rarely appears on the surface of the planet. The landscape of the park includes deep fjords, ancient rocky mountains, and a dry plateau called the Tablelands, where there are almost no trees. Peggy's Cove is a small fishing village in Nova Scotia that is famous for its red and white lighthouse standing on huge granite rocks. It is one of the most photographed places in Canada. The village still keeps its traditional charm with colorful wooden houses, fishing boats, and the peaceful atmosphere of the Atlantic coast. Cabot Trail is a coastal road, about 300 kilometers long on Cape Breton Island. The road winds through mountains, forests, and the ocean, offering spectacular views at every turn. In autumn, this area becomes especially famous when the forests change into bright red, yellow, and orange colors. Hopewell Rocks is located in the Bay of Fundy, and it is famous for its huge rock columns that look like giant flower pots. They were formed over thousands of years by the powerful tides of the bay. One special thing is that visitors can walk under the rock columns when the tide is low. But a few hours later, the same place will be completely covered by seawater. Located deep in the wilderness of the Northwest Territories, Nahanni National Park Reserve is one of the most spectacular and mysterious nature reserves in Canada. The park is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site because of its rare wild landscape where rivers flow through huge canyons, boreal forests, and large limestone plateaus. The heart of the park is the South Nahanni River, one of the most beautiful rivers in North America and famous for kayaking and rafting trips through very deep canyons. However, the most impressive attraction of Nahanni is Virginia Falls, a waterfall that is almost twice as high as Niagara Falls. The water falls from a cliff more than 90 meters high and creates white mist and a loud sound that echoes through the valley. Because of its remote location and difficult access, Nahanni still keeps a very pure and untouched beauty. For people who love nature and adventure, it is considered one of the most impressive wild places on the planet. Located in the Yukon Territory, Kluane National Park is a land of ice and high mountains where huge mountain ranges rise above vast ice fields. This park is part of a large natural heritage system recognized by UNESCO that stretches across Canada and Alaska. Most famous highlight of Kluane is Mount Logan, the highest mountain in Canada, with a height of more than 5,900 meters. This massive mountain stands among large glaciers and is almost untouched by humans. Most of the park is covered by permanent ice, creating a spectacular landscape of giant glaciers and glacial valleys. Visitors to Kluane can take scenic flights to see the mountain ranges and glaciers from the sky, or go trekking through the wide valleys. Besides the icy landscapes, Kluane is also home to many wild animals such as grizzly bears, Dall sheep, and golden eagles. Mount Logan is not only the highest mountain in Canada, but also one of the largest mountains in the world by mountain mass. The mountain is located in Kluane National Park in the Yukon region near the border with Alaska. With a height of 5,959 meters, Mount Logan is a little lower than Denali in Alaska. However, it is famous for its extreme weather conditions and the huge glacier systems that surround it. The mountain often records extremely low temperatures and powerful snowstorms. Climbing Mount Logan is a great challenge for professional climbers. However, even if visitors do not climb the mountain, they can still admire its magnificent beauty through scenic flights. From the air, the massive white mountain stands out in the ocean of ice and snow and creates one of the most spectacular natural views in North America. Haida Gwaii is an archipelago located off the Pacific coast of the province of British Columbia. It was previously called the Queen Charlotte Islands, and it is considered one of the most wild and culturally rich regions in Canada. The islands are the homeland of the Haida people, one of the oldest and most unique cultures in the Pacific Northwest. Huge totem poles, ancient villages, and traditional wood carving art are still preserved here. Most of Haida Gwaii is covered by ancient temperate rainforests. Gwaii National Park Reserve protects both nature and indigenous culture with wild islands, long beaches, and rich ecosystems. Haida Gwaii is often called the Galapagos of Canada because of its unique wildlife and its isolated location. Waterton Lakes National Park is located in the province of Alberta, near the border with the United States. The park connects with Glacier National Park in the United States to form the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, the first international peace park in the world. Waterton is famous for its landscape, where the prairie meets the Rocky Mountains. Clear lakes, waterfalls, and forests create a very diverse natural scenery. Upper Waterton Lake is the center of the park, and it offers beautiful views of the surrounding mountain peaks. One special thing about Waterton is its peaceful atmosphere and the smaller number of visitors compared with Banff or Jasper. This makes it a perfect place for people who want to fully enjoy nature. Yoho National Park is located to the west of Banff National Park in the province of British Columbia. The name Yoho comes from the language of the Cree people, and it means amazement, a name that perfectly matches the scenery here. The park is famous for Emerald Lake, a bright green lake surrounded by forests and mountains. Yoho also has many spectacular waterfalls, and the most famous one is Takakau Falls. Trekking trails in Yoho lead visitors through glacial valleys, glaciers, and ancient forests. It is also the place where many ancient fossils were discovered in the Burgess Shale area, one of the most important fossil sites in the world. Takako Falls is one of the tallest and most impressive waterfalls in Canada, located deep in the magnificent landscape of Yoho National Park in the province of British Columbia. With a total height of about 380 meters, the water from Daly Glacier falls from a nearly vertical cliff and creates a powerful white waterfall rushing into the valley with a loud sound. In summer, when the ice on the mountains melts the most, the waterfall becomes especially spectacular because the amount of water increases greatly and creates a light mist that spreads around the area. The name Takakau comes from the language of the Cree people, and it means wonderful or magnificent. When visitors stand in front of this majestic waterfall, they can easily understand why it has such an impressive name. A short trail leads from the parking area to the base of the waterfall and allows visitors to get very close to the falling water. Here they can clearly feel the loud roar of the waterfall and the cool wind from the water mist. Takako Falls is surrounded by dark green pine forests and the high peaks of the Rocky Mountains, creating a wild and spectacular natural scene. Lake Superior is the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area, and it is also one of the most impressive natural wonders in North America. The lake is part of the famous Great Lakes system, and it lies between Canada and the United States. With an area of more than 82,000 square kilometers, Lake Superior is so large that in many places, people cannot see the opposite shore, which makes the lake look like a huge inland ocean. The northern shore of the lake is in the province of Ontario, and it has wild and impressive natural landscapes. High cliffs, long pebble beaches, and ancient boreal forests create a scene that is both majestic and peaceful. Parks along the lake, such as Pukaskwa National Park and Sleeping Giant Provincial Park, are famous places for trekking, kayaking, and camping. Winds from the continent move across the large surface of the lake and create waves as high as those in the ocean. This wild beauty and enormous scale make Lake Superior one of the most impressive natural landscapes in Canada. Toronto Islands is a group of small islands located just off the coast of the city of Toronto, on the waters of Lake Ontario. With only a short ferry ride of about 10 to 15 minutes from the city center, visitors can leave the busy city and enter a completely different place where nature is peaceful and life moves slowly. The islands include many small islands connected by bridges and trails, with green parks, sandy beaches, and long bicycle paths. It is an ideal place for walking, cycling, kayaking, or simply relaxing on the grass while looking at the wide lake. One of the most famous places is Center Island, where there is an amusement park, picnic areas, and a beach. What makes Toronto Island special is the beautiful view of the Toronto skyline. From the island shore, visitors can see the tall skyscrapers of the city reflected on the water, with the famous CN Tower rising high into the sky. The contrast between the quiet nature of the islands and the modern city in the distance creates a very special experience. Stanley Park is the most famous urban park in Vancouver, and it is considered one of the most beautiful city parks in the world. With an area of more than 400 hectares, the park is located on a green peninsula that extends into Burrard Inlet, where old forests, beaches, and coastal paths create a beautiful natural space in the middle of the city. The most special feature of Stanley Park is the seawall, a coastal path almost 10 kilometers long that goes around the park. This path is used for walking, running, and cycling, and it offers beautiful views of the ocean, the North Shore Mountains, and the skyline of Vancouver. Inside the park, there are also many famous attractions, such as the Vancouver Aquarium, small beaches, quiet lakes, and ancient cedar forests that are hundreds of years old. Stanley Park also displays many totem poles of Indigenous people, which show the long history and culture of the region. The combination of wild nature and its location near the city center makes Stanley Park the green lung and a great pride of Vancouver. From huge waterfalls and turquoise glacial lakes to majestic snowy mountains and modern livable cities, Canada is a country where nature and people exist in a rare balance. Wonders such as Niagara Falls, the national parks in the Rocky Mountains, and lively cities like Vancouver and Toronto create a landscape that is diverse, vast, and full of life. What makes Canada special is not only the magnificent scale of its nature, but also the feeling of freedom and peace that this land brings. Here, you can drive for hundreds of kilometers through wild forests and mountains, paddle a boat on quiet lakes, or stand under the northern sky to watch the bright northern lights. Maybe that is why, for many people, Canada is not only a travel destination. It is a journey to explore vast nature, a place that helps people feel the beauty of the world and their own smallness before the greatness of nature.